Hey, can you name a stock that's down 50% in the last couple of weeks? I can. Good old FSLY has taken a nosedive over the last couple of weeks, bringing us back to prices we saw back in June. We wiped out almost 4 months worth of gains here in about 2 weeks. And my friends, this is what volatility looks like in high growth stocks. So what is happening to FSLY here? Why is this stock out of favor all of a sudden? There's a lot of questions to answer. So in this video, what I want to discuss is, first off, why does FSLY keep selling off? Second of all, what is the outlook for this business look like? Can they actually turn things around, in my opinion? And then finally, is this a buy the dip opportunity? So I'm going to ask you to please take a second, drop a like for this video. It not only helps the channel, but it also lets me know the type of content you want me to keep creating. And if you're interested in buying FSLY or you currently hold FSLY today, you definitely want to stick around for this entire video because I'm going to share a lot of insight in this video. So getting into the meat and potatoes, first question up is, why does FSLY keep selling off? So like we saw, it's been about a couple of weeks now where FSLY has just been taking a beating, to be honest. There's no easy way to put it, guys. FSLY down day after day, investors keep selling off the stock. What's going on? Well, the thing is that the first big piece of news that we got that actually resulted in a minus 30% day for FSLY was around a pre-announcement that they made for their earnings. On October 4th, they announced and cut their guidance, and this resulted, like I said, in a massive 30% sell-off instantly in the stock. Revenues were expected to come in between 73.5 to 75.5 million, but got revised down to around 70 to 71 million. Yes, it's not a huge drop, but a drop in growth from a growth stock, it's amplified bad news. Next was the fact that they stated their largest customer did not meet their expectations for usage, and this resulted in significant reduction in revenue from this customer. Adding to this, other customers also had lower usage than FSLY had estimated, so more revenue was lost there. So guys, this was a blow of bad news here. You know, lowering their guidance, that's bad enough, but then they come out and say their largest customer is not spending as much, that's going to affect them, and then they have rocky roads with their other customers as well, who apparently aren't using the service as much either. But then they went on and they mentioned the most taboo word in all of investing, and this should never come from anyone, especially a CEO. This word, guys, it's so dangerous that when this word is spoken, the whole market can move down, and that's the kind of impact that it's had here on FSLY. Uncertainty. The global issue has created some uncertainty for FSLY. Here's a pro tip. I'm no CEO, but if you were a CEO, maybe avoid using that word, because there's a lot of investors that trade on headlines, that trade on these kind of words. Algorithms, of course, don't even get me started there. So as soon as that word's spoken, selling occurs. But hey, maybe that was their plan, trigger a sell-off so they could buy more shares. We'll see. Anyways, this was really the beginning of their sell-off with this pre-announcement until this was announced right here. This was their actual earnings, and this shows that they did indeed come in with lower revenue, and they had losses in the quarter as well. On the plus side though, wasn't all bad news. Revenue was up 42.6% year over year, and total customers increased from 1,951 to over 2,000 now at 2,047. So there were definitely some positive bright spots here if you're an optimist and you read this report. But let's be real, when we come to high growth stocks like FSLY, who has just been pushed higher and higher on good news, there are high expectations, and if those expectations are not met, investors will punish the stock. Now, yes, this should end at some point as investors come to their senses and, you know, people start seeing value in the stock, but it's impossible to say when that does happen. And if the broader market keeps selling off like it has been, FSLY is most likely going to keep moving down as well. So this brings me to number 2. What is the outlook like? Can they turn things around? So now this is all my opinion. I don't own FSLY stock, I don't work for FSLY, and I'm definitely not the CEO of FSLY or on the management team. So take this however you want, take it with a grain of salt. Now I believe this negative sentiment we're seeing around FSLY and the selling that we're seeing around FSLY is warranted. I think the stock was definitely very richly valued, and I've kind of spoken openly about that before, and that's why I never really bothered taking a position in the stock, because while it may be an interesting company, valuation does matter, and it just didn't sit well with me. Now what I could see happen is we could see a reversal sometime soon, But I think that investors are pricing in some pretty bad news for future quarters as well, which is why the stock keeps moving lower, even though they only came in, a few $1,000,000 less than expected. When I look at past metrics for this stock, what I don't like is how richly valued we still are despite this 50% drop. Guys, we're at a price to sales well above normal or reasonable levels in my mind, so this is definitely concerning and keeping me away from FSLY. Couple this with the fact that they are expected to accelerate losses in coming years. This is definitely not a trend you want to see for a strong business, and I suspect this trend of them raising shares will continue as their losses continue as well. But again, I want to show both sides of the story. FSLY has an extremely strong balance sheet, one of the best balance sheets I've ever seen. They have around $600 million in assets with virtually no debt on the balance sheet. So they're in a very strong financial position. But the question is, how long can they really keep up with that? Remember, they keep losing money, so they need to keep putting money into the business to keep it running, which means that they may have to dilute some more shares to raise that cash balance again. So there's definitely a lot of negatives, but it really comes down to a judgment call at the end of the day. Do you look at this balance sheet and say, I think they can use this to their benefit and actually grow much bigger? Or do you feel that, yeah, this balance sheet is good because they see a lot of turbulent times ahead of them and they're going to need that cash for sure? So I would say, my opinion, this business is really good from a balance sheet perspective. But when I look at other metrics that I like using for decisions on whether I want to buy a stock or not, I'm not convinced. So the $1,000,000 question, is this a buy the dip opportunity? So my honest answer, guys, no. I don't think that this is a buy the dip opportunity in FSLY because of the valuation issues that I just spoke about, and because the fundamental part of my brain says is still very overvalued. The technical side of my brain, though, is contradicting all of this, which is what's kind of throwing me for a loop here, because it's starting to look attractive. Despite the high valuation, the stock is corrected down to a strong level of support, which is the 100 moving average on the daily chart. The stochastics at the bottom here also show us the stock is extremely oversold, signaling investors may start buying soon once again. The weekly chart also shows us more of the same, but the target is just under $60, which coincides with the 50 moving average on the weekly, which is another level of support. It doesn't mean this support will hold. It doesn't mean that we will absolutely no doubt come down to this support level, but this is definitely something to watch because many traders and algorithms will be as well. So what I'm trying to get across is, depending on the way you want to look at it, you could either see this as a buying opportunity or still a stock that you're going to stay far away from because it's overvalued. So because of that, I'm struggling, and I don't ever want to enter a position where I'm not 100% confident. I need to have that conviction, and FSLY just does not give me that right now. And maybe if we see lower prices, that will happen, but as of right now, I don't plan to buy any FSLY stock. That being said, I can't fault you if you do choose to make a position here in FSLY or add to your existing position, because arguably, from a technical perspective, it is at a pretty attractive price. Now, I know some of you watching don't really put any merits into technicals, and that's completely fine. Everyone has their own investment philosophy. But I use technicals to kind of back up my fundamentals. So as long as the fundamentals of the business are strong and the technicals look strong as well, it typically adds another level of confidence for me. But in FSLY's case, they don't both align, so I can't quite get there yet. Also, just remember that it's impossible to time the bottom in these stocks, guys. You know that, I know that, and I'm hoping that if you're new to the market, that's something that you learn sooner rather than later. Timing the market is just a losing game, so if you are interested in FSLY, you believe in the company, you actually believe that it's undervalued today because of your own research, good luck. I really do hope the position works out for you. But either way, guys, that's my view on FSLY. You guys are so many times for me to make an update on this, so here you go. Hope you enjoyed it. Share this with a friend, because I know a lot of people are buying the stock or interested in the stock, and I hope you found value in this video. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.